Are you going to win this fight?
I am going to win. I'm going to become two-time world champion.
Last time I checked, when you break the rules, whether you're remorseful or not, or there's a fair excuse, you serve a punishment for that.
No, I won't be watching because the way that Sky TV present this thing is just way too long, tedious, boring and punishing.
I'll tell you an interesting story. I was sitting one day with the great Ravi Shastri and he said they should get rid of all international T20 cricket apart from the T20 World Cup.
Welcome to the DSPN.
John Walker wins the 1500 metres gold medal at the Olympic Games.
The All Blacks have won by 29 points to 9. The Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome to the podcast, people. Martin, Devlin, Lachlan Waugh, another edition of the DSPN. If you're listening to this on Rover, thank you very much for all your support. If you're watching it on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. We're hustling our way to 5,000 YouTube subscribers. This is only the 11th week that we have done this podcast, and we're well over 4,000 now, so thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for supporting us as well on social media. Martin Devlin _DSPN. That is across Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And again, yes, I know lots of comments have come in on YouTube, and I'll try and get to those in the next couple of days. We're going to introduce a brand new feature by the end of the week where we take your feedback and we look at it and we discuss it in a little feedback forum. That'll be on Thursday or Friday, so keep those comments coming. Today on the program, Joseph Parker ahead of, I think it's the most important fight of his career. More important than Joshua. The winner of this fight against Dubois gets to face Usyk with every single belt on the line. The undisputed heavyweight title plus the payday for fighting the champ. As well as that, Rahul Patil joining us. Champions Trophy underway tomorrow night, 10 p.m. We play Pakistan. That's the Black Caps. And this is a really important international white ball tournament. Rahul will explain. Matt Gunn joins us, as he always does on a Tuesday. Let's be positive. Our man out of Twizel. And a tight five covering topics. The Halberg Awards. Who's going to win what? As well as that, yesterday's NBA All-Star Game or games. It's a convoluted format now. Lachlan, you love your NBA. You can decide whether or not it's worth it. Peter V'landys on Fox and Friends spoke directly through the camera to the President of the United States, to POTUS, and said, come to the opening round in Vegas. As well as that, Yannick Sinner. Is that a punishment or is that a slap on the hand with a courtside towel? 3 months sandwiched in between the Australian Open and the French Open. And Damian McKenzie, first five or fullback, or can he play both in the same game? Maybe that's his best position, is two positions. All of that to come. We begin the show the same way every day.
We live in an amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
It's the most glamorous night on the New Zealand sporting calendar. It's tonight, the Halberg Awards, our sporting equivalent of the Oscars or the Grammys, and it's girl power for the ultimate accolade, Sportsperson of the Year. Either Dame Lisa Carrington for her 3 Olympic golds in Paris, or Dame Lydia Ko for her Olympic gold and then a British Open Major Championship win within the same fortnight. I think the thing to try and remember here is it's all about the celebration, which is much more important than any debate or argument. A night to acknowledge just how brilliant and excellent our athletes have been and how they made us all feel when they won. That's the best bit about it. Think about that tonight, folks. Where were you and who were you with? How were you watching when you saw our very own win world titles and gold medals? That, rather than if this achievement is or was or bigger than that achievement. And anyway, how do you compare Hamish Kerr's high jump with Liam Lawson getting an F1 ride with Chris Wood banging in goals for Nottingham Forest anyhow? Not that the last two blokes are even included in any category tonight. Because why? Because their excellence can't be defined and placed into a convenient category box, which again is frustrating. The other thing is I won't be watching. No, I won't be watching because the way that Sky TV present this thing is just way too long, tedious, boring and punishing. It's like, for me, the equivalent of budget night for political reporters. It just takes way too long. Tonight, for me, should be, and only, all about the athletes. And my way of doing it would just be to package it all up in half an hour, give them the awards, and then just get everyone else out of there and let these athletes celebrate with each other. I want to say, thank you for all making us feel so proud watching you achieve greatness. Because that is a fan. I mean, we take that kind of like some kind of reflected glory of what you do. And watching you win and watching you just overachieve on the world stage just makes us all feel great. I want to say a huge congrats to all the finalists. here in New Zealand, you are all bloody legends.
Devlin.
The heavyweight championship of the world. It's coming up this weekend in Saudi Arabia, and our man JP Joseph Parker fighting Daniel Dubois for that title with some great news that happened last week concerning Usyk as well and his intentions. But first and foremost, welcome back, my man.
What's up?
What's up? Yeah, good to see you too. So you're obviously happily ensconced in Saudi. Let us know how all your training and your prep going.
Listen, the prep, the training camp that we had in Ireland was a great training camp. We had 6 weeks there, and we're here now. We're being, it's 5 weeks, so I'm really looking forward to this fight and the challenge that Dubois is going to bring. And with the fights that he's had in recent times, you can see the belief, the confidence, and also what he's been saying and doing. So I'm looking forward to the big challenge of fighting the champion of the world and taking that belt off him and being champion of the world myself.
You've been there. You've had a championship of the world belt before. What does that feel like when you win that belt?
At that time, it felt different because I was doing it more for other people, doing it for New Zealand, Samoa, and I was doing it for myself, but more so for others. But I feel like this time it's going to mean something much more different because I have goals that I want myself, and I'm fighting more for my wife and kids, still for New Zealand and Samoa, but more so for myself now, which is that's why it feels different. It feels different going into this fight and fighting for something different than I was before.
Joseph, when you actually approach that ring though and you walk in though, do you have to divorce from your mind the enormity of it in terms of what that prize is? I mean, and if so, how do you do that? How do you just go through your business and think, this is a fight, I've just got to win this fight?
The fight is the fight. And it's just, I'm fighting Daniel Dubois. He's the champion of the world, but he's just another fight. He's similar to Zhang, he's similar to Wilder, he's similar to Joshua, he's just another fighter in front of me. And when you do everything right leading into the fight, going into the fight, I'm not fixated on winning the fight. I know that the win will take care of itself so long as I do everything right leading into the fight, enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, and things will happen. I've done everything right. I've trained hard, I've slept well, I've eaten all the good food, the right food. And I'm just in a great place. I'm in a great place to put on a good performance.
Do you know, physically, does your body and just everything feel different when you're approaching a fight and you think, okay, I'm ready this time, or if you feel that you're not ready? I mean, can you really tell, physiologically?
Yeah, you can tell physiologically, and also, you have to tick all the right boxes mentally. Before the fight and in training camp, everything is 80% physical and 20% mental. And when you get closer to the fight and you're going into the fight, it becomes 80% mental and 20% physical. Everything has to be switched on. Physical, mental, you have to have a balance of having spiritual as well. And I feel like I've done all of that in this camp. But your body does change. And you have all these different feelings and emotions. And you just have to, because I've done this for a long time, I know how to control everything.
Yeah, because, I mean, I know that, all athletes go through this. You've just got to get into that single-mindedness of purpose. However you get yourself into that headspace. Do you listen to a bit of music? Do you meditate? Do you breathe? What do you do?
I do breathing exercises every morning and every night. I be doing this work with a guy named Dave Wood back in New Zealand.
Yeah, I know the guy, yeah.
Listen to music. We have a table tennis here in the house we're staying in, so we can play table tennis. We play cards, play chess, play poker. There's no real wasted energy. Every ounce of energy is focused and saved for the fight.
Do you talk much about it? I mean, when you go through your plan, and the sub part of that question is, do you break it down round by round what you want to do, or do you just have to adjust on the fly?
Listen, you can break everything down. You can have a great game plan, but everything changes when you're in that ring because you never know the approach of what your opponent is going to bring. You can watch as much tape as you want on them, but each fight is different, and each fighter is different, and how they whether he's going to pressure, whether he's going to move, whether he's going to throw punches, or whether he's just going to throw jabs. You can have a game plan, but everything adjusts when you're in that ring.
That great Mike Tyson quote, you've got to plan until somebody punches you in the mouth.
Until someone punches you straight in the face.
There you go. In terms of the ego thing, how do you remove the ego out of the whole equation? Because it's business and it's science, and you've got to be focused. How do you take the puff and the ego and the machoism out of it?
There's no ego. All I want to do in this boxing game is to go in there and fight the best in the world and give the best account of myself. And there is no ego because when you do everything right in camp, you just I don't know, you know that you're well prepared, and you know that whatever comes your way, you can counter it. But there is no ego. Ego gets left outside. You just go in there and do your job.
Do you have an intention? Do you want to go forward? Do you want to be putting him under pressure, closing that ring down, or again, is this just part? That might be the strategy, but you got to wait and see.
You got to wait and see. But I want to go into this fight and I want to be deliberate with my punches. I want to have great movement. I want to have accuracy in the punches. I want to have speed. I want to have great footwork. There's a lot of things that you do visualize and you do see yourself doing, but everything does change when you're in that ring.
The news last week, as I said right at the beginning, that Alexander Usyk says he's got a couple of fights left and he wants to fight the winner of this fight. How exciting is that?
Oh, this is exciting. It makes this fight mean way more. I mean, you're fighting for the championship of the world, and that's every fighter's dream, is to become world champion or two-time world champion. But then there's another dream of becoming unified, undisputed champion of the world, and that's fighting for all the bouts. That's fighting for all the glory, and that's, one man, one name, being a champion of the world.
That has happened so rarely, hasn't it? That one man unifies all that belt. How do you control that dream? Because it's there, you can see it and everything. You might be able to look at it, reach it, dream about it. But how do you control that dream?
That dream, you can't achieve that dream unless you achieve what's in front of you now. And that's my full focus on Daniel Dubois. I have to be as well as prepared as I can be for this fight, give it everything I have. And see where it goes. And, I back myself to take the victory and become champion of the world for the second time.
The payday to fight Usyk for a start would set you up forever. It'd probably be much more than you've ever earned. I don't know, but I'm just thinking that when that guy fights, that's box office, that's big eyes on the prize, man.
Oh, yeah. Listen, it's the money and the financial side of things is a byproduct of what you do. And if you do have the opportunity to fight Usyk, that'll be on a different level. But again, none of that matters unless you take care of business first, which is the 22nd of February very soon.
23rd in New Zealand. Are you going to win this fight?
I am going to win. I'm going to become two-time world champion.
The Tide 5.
5 separate sporting topics then, roughly 90 seconds on each. If you are a regular with the program, you know the drill. If you can, subscribe, follow, share, like, all of that on social media. We will love you even more. We're trying so hard to get to 5,000 subscribers. We're only in our 11th week and we're well over 4,000. Thank you very much for that. 5 topics then. Peter V'landys, personal message to POTUS. Halberg's tonight. All-star game yesterday, NBA I'm talking. Damian McKenzie, first 5 or fullback or both. And Yannick Sinner's hardly a punishment for the doping charge. Halberg's tonight. Let's go. Who wins, Lydia Ko or Lisa Carrington?
I think Lisa Carrington, because the Halbergs are typically, I was about to say typically favours Olympic success, but Lydia Ko got gold in the golf.
Yeah, she did.
So I immediately have shot myself in the foot. Then again, I just think the accumulation of golds from Lisa Carrington and what she has 8 of them in total now, which she's one of 7 people all time in the history of the Olympics. I could have gotten those numbers wrong, but I think that's unbelievable.
Okay, so the judges aren't meant to take that into account.
Why
it's
not?
It's meant to be just about the performances over the last year, which is why Lydia Ko will win it tonight, because winning a gold, then within the same fortnight, winning a major, her third major.
You reckon?
The British. Yeah, I think it's going to be Lydia Ko tonight.
I mean, I want it to be Lydia Ko, and it's nothing against Lisa Carrington.
Maybe they'll actually
but it's because Carrington gets the Sportswoman of the Year award pretty much every year, like outside of Olympic years. Yeah, I'm not saying she doesn't, but she gets it most. It'd be great to see Lydia Ko get it.
Much more clear-cut. Sportsman of the Year.
Hamish Kerr.
Yeah, got to be Hamish Kerr. Now, pick the team. Team New Zealand, Black Ferns 7s, White Ferns, our kayaking gold, our rowing gold. Who wins Team of the Year out of that?
It would be one of the White Ferns or Team New Zealand. And it would feel a bit strange giving it to Team New Zealand from the perspective that, well, they're just so much better than everyone else, that the enormity of the achievement isn't really that great. Then again, 3 in a row.
3 in a row, yeah. And to win it overseas, defend it here, and then win it again overseas.
It's pretty special.
And this is what I mean about the Halbergs. This is what I love about them more than anything. Forget all the debate about who's going to win. Just celebrate the fact that, damn.
Do you think New Zealand cares about the awards still? Do you think they do?
I
think people of your generation do. No. I'm talking about the fans. I'm talking about the public. Of course the athletes do. Of course they do.
Perhaps not. But it still honours the name of not only an absolutely world champion athlete in Sir Murray Halberg, but a world champion bloke as well.
But
So,
it's something that the media goes on about.
I like it. But I won't be watching it, okay? I just can't. I can't sit through it. The same for the All-Star game, which last year was 397 points and was such a farce that the NBA decided to redo the format again. And so this time it was 4 teams, and it was the TNT guys. It was Shaq, and it was Kenny, and it was Chuck, and it was Ernie, and Candace. I think they all had their own teams, and it was up to 40 points. And just stop it, mate. Why don't they just pull the pin on this whole event? Have the skills thing and forget this. None of the players want to get injured. None of the players are interested really in playing it. It used to mean something big in the calendar. It doesn't anymore. To me, if it was super competitive and whoever won got home advantage throughout the NBA finals, like the Western Conference team or the Eastern Conference team, like it doesn't.
No, you can't do that.
But you can't do that.
No.
So is it? Look, some things just do their time and they run out, and I think this is one of those.
Yeah, it's like the Pro Bowl in the NFL.
Yeah, they had to change it in the end because nobody would tackle.
Well, and
It's
even
like
then,
it's like the FA Cup, which has lost. It's still a beautiful cup, but it's lost a lot of lustre in England because teams would rather finish 4th in the Premiership and make the Champions League rather than the FA Cup.
yeah, it's always been
run its course.
something that is a fun festival. The Pro Bowl in the NFL and the All-Star in the NBA. The Pro Bowl died a lot earlier, it feels. And they've tried to change the format every single year or every couple of years because the ratings are poor. People complain about it. No one really enjoys it. The NBA doesn't help itself by the fact that the guy who's won the dunk contest, which there's a lot of history in the NBA.
He doesn't play in the NBA.
No, he does.
He's played 5 seconds this year for Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando. Yeah.
5 seconds.
It's a guy called Max McClung who no one knows. He's a little white guy. Yeah, sure, he's a good dunker, but like people would, the great thing about the dunk contest in the 80s was that it was Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins.
There
That
you
was
go.
a couple of great matchups. You had Vince Carter in 2001 who had this all-time performance as well.
You had players who were actual NBA players.
And you've also got all these little bits of technology that they add to the dunk contest, which kills that. The three-point contest is still pretty good, but they tinker with things a bit too much. I mean, for example, you've got LiAngelo Ball, the brother of Lonzo Ball and LaMelo Ball, rapping.
Okay.
Now,
okay.
why?
Right. Okay.
Now, I understand there's this urban sort of hip-hop
Stop
culture
it.
with the
Yeah, I know.
NBA, which
Okay,
was obviously ushered in nicely by Allen Iverson, which is not your kind of thing, I know. But
No, I don't mind that culture, but I'm talking about it's an NBA game. I'm not there to watch a rap thing. If I wanted to watch a rap thing, I'd watch a rap.
Hold on. No. It's not. It's a festival. It's an NBA festival. It's never been something that's a competitive game.
It used to be.
Well, it was competitive, but to an extent, barely compared to what an NBA game is. But now it's totally lost it, where people are just doing under the legs, blimmin' backwards sort of shots. It's just stupid. So they can't get rid of it because there's a lot of history to it.
A lot of money.
There's money, yes, but there's a lot of, ignoring the finances, putting that to the side, there's a lot of history in the NBA All-Star Weekend. So it would actually be a tricky thing to get rid of. So maybe you just get rid of the All-Star game, or you have a mix, like, I don't know, what if you had your All-Stars mixed in with some celebrities and they play each other in a game? I don't know. You've got to do something to make it a bit more interesting. But it's not even the game itself. Yeah. Like, the coverage is poor as well.
Peter V'landys stared down the barrel of the camera on Fox and Friends of the United States and made a personal plea to POTUS, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and says, Donster, come, you've gone to the Super Bowl, come to the opening round of the NRL. I applaud V'landys. I look, why the hell not? All he's trying to do is generate publicity for this weekend, right? Donald Trump's not going to turn up, but the fact that he's actually out there, he's beating the drum
next weekend,
and this is making headlines. Fine. I applaud it. Whatever. Doesn't work for you?
I don't know. I've always, to be fair to the NRL and its Australian sport as a whole, not so much rugby. Actually, it's mainly the NRL. They are very good at talking up their sport and hyping it up. They have been very good at it for a long time. And sometimes it's cringe. A lot of the time, actually, it's cringe. But it pays off in many ways, and we look at that and we applaud it, and then we look at Super Rugby, maybe not now as much, but in the past, recent years, and gone, what's wrong with you guys? Why can't you do that?
That's it.
So it's not a shock to see it, and also, will it lead to anything? Probably not, but fair play to the NRL. Well, I mean, I don't look at the news stories and think, well done NRL, geez, this is an admirable thing you're doing. I look at it and I cringe a bit. At the same time, I'm that cynical type of sports person. I don't like the cheesy cheerleading that goes on with the NRL sometimes. Like, I actually don't like the Vegas event. I don't really understand it. I think it's pointless. If you can make a profit out of it, well, then that's good. But you're never going to grow the game in the US. They make it sound like they're trying to. They know deep down they're never going to make an impact. So it's all a money-making scheme, or it's to get into the betting market, or maybe even to get...
if they do that, it makes cash.
Well, yeah, and maybe even to get an American owner maybe interested in, this rugby league looks interesting. Maybe I'll buy up American billionaire. Buy up a team. So I just don't like the Vegas event. I think I've never really been a fan of it, to be honest.
Well, it's only in its second year. Give it time. Yannick Sinner. Is that a punishment or not? So many tennis players, and I applaud every single tennis player that's coming out speaking out about this. You know what happened with Sinner. Did he take it inadvertently? Okay, let's cut him some slack, and if he did. But the fact is, when drugs are found in your system...
So what? It doesn't matter.
There is a punishment. And so his punishment is to play in the Australian Open, then have a 3-month break where he's allowed to come back for the Rome Masters, which is the warm-up tournament for the French Open. Right, so he gets to play in his own hometown event in Italy. Then he goes to the French Open. He keeps his number 1 ranking. He keeps all his ranking points. And it is way too convenient, according to all of the tennis players that are coming out speaking about it. And I actually think they're right. And when you've got Wawrinka and guys like that who are saying this is just a farce, it's not a punishment at all. If you're going to punish the guy, punish the guy. But this isn't a punishment.
Yeah, give him what would be a proper punishment for a couple of failed drugs tests, or don't punish him at all, because this isn't a punishment. No. I saw an article that said, I think it might have been on the BBC, that said this is the equivalent of a football player getting suspended over the summer break.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's stupid. It's a joke. The thing is,
it's a joke because if it was any other tennis player, he or she would be treated completely differently from this guy because he's the poster child and number 1 in the world.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And if he comes back and wins the French Open, it leaves a sour taste, I think, for the sport.
But also, just back to the whole whether he cheated or not or meant to. Whether you can sit there and make an excuse that he didn't mean to. What was it? A cream got rubbed into his legs, and it's like the steroid steak story. It's like those Greek athletes who faked that car robbery or whatever, or carjacking it was in Athens.
Yeah, that was my favourite.
Yeah.
No one who ever tests positive for drugs in sport ever puts their hand up and goes, all right, I did it, I got caught. So there's always a reason. That guy was doing it.
Yeah, there's always an excuse, right?
It was on my toothbrush. I pashed a girl at a nightclub. That was my favourite one. The tennis player who said he got cocaine in his system because he pashed a girl in the club.
There was an Eastern European figure skater over the last couple of years who said, I was walking through the kitchen when my grandfather's medication was being cut up.
Yeah.
And then it might have gotten onto the strawberry dessert that I was eating or something.
Everyone's got an excuse.
But whether he meant to or not, or whether it was inadvertent, it doesn't matter. There was a banned substance found in your system. Now, maybe this is archaic and very Stone Age, but last time I checked, when you break the rules, whether you're remorseful or not, or there's a fair excuse, you serve a punishment for that.
That's
okay,
right.
And if you were, you framed in any way whatsoever, that might get found out. You've got to trust the justice system, even though a lot of the world doesn't, in whatever walk of life it is. So the thing, the punishment is a joke, but even then, if you got to, no one's really criticising him or his team too much.
No.
There was an ex...
poor him. He's the victim.
Well, exactly, but there's an ex-British tennis player who came in and said, I don't think he's ever tried to cheat. I'm not saying that. I thought, well, how do we know? He's just he's giving us this excuse that, we're all just going to eat up and buy
Maria Sharapova, who was going to die if she didn't get that medication imported from Latvia. Yeah.
Well, it's
Finally, let's talk about...
Due process doesn't exist anymore.
Damian McKenzie. First 5 or fullback or both. Is he going to be the first player who actually genuinely gets picked to play in a team in both positions in the same game, interchangeable? Because what we saw with him for the Chiefs against the Blues, he can play first 5 or fullback, we know. But during the game, that made real sense from Clayton McMillan to swap him in those roles during the game.
From a wearing down the opposition perspective, knowing that they'd have tired legs and tired bodies in the second half, you've got a guy at first receiver who can break the game.
For the All Blacks, he wasn't. And I'll say it wasn't as pragmatic as we needed most of last year in that position. But maybe the idea is he plays at fullback to start with. Somebody else controls the game for the first 50 or 60 minutes, and when legs are tiring, then you put it.
Yeah, okay, but what happens in the first test that they do that, and the All Blacks are, say, up by 3, and then, I don't know, Damian McKenzie misses a penalty goal, and then the other team scores a try and steals the game. Then we're criticising the move, aren't we? So... It's all
He's
well.
such a talented player, and it's so unusual. Like Beauden Barrett can do the same thing. I think they've tried it with him, fullback first five.
Well, they've done that dual approach for
England
a long time.
at the moment have got Finn Smith and Marcus Smith, who can both interchange between fullback and first five.
Yeah, I mean it's not
evolving.
Yeah, but it's not a brand new thing. It's been the All Blacks did it in a different way, but they did it in 2019 when they had two first fives in the field at the same time, right?
Yeah. It's
So teams have done it for a little while. I still maintain that Damian McKenzie, he had his best stretch of that game against the Blues at first five in the second half, but he is best used as a fullback more often than not coming off the bench at international level when the game has the ability to be broken open. So that's what I think he should continue to do. Have Beauden Barrett at first five or pick another guy, and then you have Damian McKenzie either starting at 15 or coming off the bench and serving that role.
One round of Super Rugby, we're already debating All Black positions.
I was just about to say that. We're already talking about the All Blacks.
DSPN.
Yes, it's rugby season, but it's still cricket season. And kicking off tomorrow night, the Champions Trophy. Every single match starts at 10 p.m. New Zealand time. It's a fantastic tournament. 8 teams, 19 days, 2 groups of 4, semi-finals, final. Really simple. Probably not that easy to watch because of the time zone. Our man Rahul Patil joins us again. I love this tournament. I think it is a really good way to play one-day cricket in a condensed format. Apart from the time zone issues, obviously, because it's taking place in Dubai and Pakistan. So for us here in New Zealand, you're off to Australia, so it's a bit easier time. But just in terms of having the best teams there, playing a really good format of cricket, which is one-day cricket, which I grew up with, which we love, and it takes place really quickly. It's all over. It's very simple, easy to follow, and it's also the only white ball international tournament of consequence or significance that the Black Caps have ever won.
That's right, and couldn't agree more. Short and sharp. It's all over within a few days. The beauty of this tournament is the fact that you make one mistake, it could be curtains. So you've got to be coming out of the blocks, firing on all cylinders from ball one, and make sure you keep winning. We've seen what happens in long tournaments like the World Cup. Even if you have a slowish start, there's enough of a time for you to make a comeback, like the Aussies did in the last one with Maxwell's 200, bringing them from the brink of defeat back into contention, end up winning the whole thing. But you can't afford to have lapses in this format, and that's why it's such a good tournament.
So who's got a harder pull? New Zealand, where we have got the subcontinent teams of Pakistan, India and Bangladesh, or the other side of the draw, which is South Africa, England, Australia and Afghanistan?
I think they're both evenly matched, to be honest, because any team on their given day could beat anyone else. The good thing for New Zealand is the fact that we've just played Pakistan in Pakistan and we've beaten them. So we're going high in confidence into this tournament. We've got Bangladesh, which if we play our best cricket, we should beat Bangladesh. So we really have to only beat one team in India to top that table, and we should take care of business as far as the 2 other teams are concerned. That other group also very strong. Australia, they're England, they're South Africa, and don't forget Afghanistan. We all know what they did in that T20 World Cup and in the ODI World Cup last time. So both groups evenly matched.
How much can we read into the pre-tournament form? The Black Caps, it doesn't get any better. We played 4 matches. We beat Pakistan twice, South Africa, then Afghanistan, although South Africa actually had a different 11 than what we'll see in this tournament. But at the same time, we're winning matches, which builds confidence, and players are in form. They're hitting runs. Our bowlers are bowling well, all of that, as opposed to the T20 World Cup last year where we couldn't be asked turning up and actually organising any warm-up matches. So we've done it right this time.
I feel a bit sad for them because it's doomed if they do and doomed if they don't. If they had lost this tournament, we would have said, look, we've got no hope. They can't play. What are they wasting their time for? Now that they've won, suddenly expectations are high. And everyone, I've seen social media, they're saying, have we peaked too soon? We've won a tournament which has no consequence. Have we peaked too soon? And are we going to be a flop show in the main one? But I don't think it works that way. I think the good thing is, yes, as you said, we're playing well. The batters have had a hit. The bowlers are bowling well. The fielders have had fielding sessions in that heat. So all positive. And the best thing is that we've beaten Pakistan in Pakistan, which is a huge confidence boost. We've beaten a South African team. Yes, they're missing a few players, but hey, you only play the opposition that's in front of you.
How valuable and important is this tournament? We won it in Kenya in 2000. It was every 2 years. It's now every 4 years. And word is that it may not actually be continuing. How important for a start is this to win?
Yeah, this could be the last of its kind as far as the Champions Trophy is concerned, because in the Future Tours program, with all these franchise leagues coming up and bilateral cricket and test cricket, finding a spot to hold a Champions Trophy, because logistically, yes, it is a 19-day tournament, but you got to fly in 8 teams from all over the world into one place, short and sharp. Difficult. So I'm not sure we'll see another tournament of its kind. You might reduce it to a T20 kind of format, like call it a Champions Trophy every 2 years and reduce it to that. There's talk of that as well.
Okay.
But I'm a huge fan of the Champions Trophy. I would in fact suggest that we get rid of a whole lot of bilateral cricket series, one-day cricket series, and actually have a world tournament, as you said, which has a bit of meaning, bit of significance, and something that you can look forward to.
Here's a trivia question for you. When is the last time we played a one-day cricket series? It was actually last month. It was against Sri Lanka. Who can remember any of the results of that? And that's what the ICC or World Cricket or whoever it is has done to this form of cricket, hadn't they? Who knows when we played, who we played, what does it actually matter? You get some trophy that ends up in the cabinet, which nobody knows what it is, and so one-day cricket is becoming the forgotten version of the game, which is why I think it's so important they retain this tournament.
I'll tell you an interesting story. I was sitting one day with the great Ravi Shastri and having a conversation about this, and he said they should get rid of all international T20 cricket apart from the T20 World Cup.
I agree. Simon Dool says the same.
They should get rid of all bilateral one-day series, meaningless, which have nothing to do. Get rid of all of that. Focus on test cricket. Focus on the world events. And those are the stuff that should coexist along with all the franchise stuff that is going on.
Because the franchise stuff isn't going away.
No.
I mean, that's cement now. There's so much money behind it and everything else. Everything else gets squeezed to the side and you try. And this is why we get these bizarre calendars where, like, we play, I think it's Pakistan in a series of ODIs and T20s in a couple of months' time. And you just think, why? What is the meaning of that?
Yeah, I guess from a broadcast point of view, when the broadcasters sit with the New Zealand Cricket Board, to finalize those contracts, they have to be promised a certain amount of international cricket on their calendars to make sense for the dollars that they're paying. So which is why that's being done. But yeah, I hear you. If it's not a World Cup year, what are we doing playing ODI cricket? What does it mean? Not a lot.
Who wins this tournament then? Let's start on our side of the draw. You think that we've got a very favourable draw where we've played these teams, we can beat these teams. You see India and New Zealand going through, whether it's one or two, it doesn't matter. You have to win a semi-final or final. Who gets through on the other side?
I think from our group, India and New Zealand would be my picks to go through. Pakistan not in the best of form currently, as we saw in that tournament, but they are playing at home, and who knows what you get with Pakistan.
Who knows?
As Nazir Hussain famously said, one moment up, the next moment down. Who knows which Pakistan turns up? And then the fourth team is Bangladesh. So I see India and New Zealand going through. I would even say that India will top that group. New Zealand will be number 2. From the other group, Australia, never ever count them out. And although they're missing a lot of their star players, so no Stark, no Hazelwood, no Cummins, and no Mitch Marsh, and no Marcus Stoinis, because he's announced his retirement from international ODI cricket. So big 5 who would have walked into that side are not playing, but still don't count the Aussies out. So I expect Australia to go through, but I think every time you see a South African team, you think this could be the day that they actually put it all together and come to a tournament. So I think South Africa tops that group, Australia second, India plays Australia, South Africa plays New Zealand, India-New Zealand final.
It's that time. It's a Tuesday. He's our favourite expat who's now happily ensconced in Twizel. Let's be positive. Our man Matt Gunn joins us again, mate. How are you?
Morning. Yeah, I'm very well, Martin. Beautiful day in Twizel. Had a little bit of rain last night, but the rowing nationals have kicked off this morning.
That's right,
It cleared by about 6:30, 7 o'clock. Slight drizzle when they got the first race underway, but they're here. And the quality of athletes for the nationals, obviously, as high as it gets. So a bit of an exciting week down here, actually.
Well, we saw at the Olympics how damn good we are in national level with this, and it's a beautiful venue for it, isn't it? And I've always said one of the finest sights ever in sport, and I witnessed this a couple of times at the Olympics, is that rowing 8. You hear the sound, the whump, the whump, the whump coming up the course before you even see them.
One of the things that I find remarkable about a Nationals, Martin, is it's a club regatta. So you've got the ends of both ends of the spectrum in terms of talent. You know, we've got our premier elite rowers, and then we've just got club rowers. And when you see the Premier 8s row down that course and compare it to the time and the speed and the power that some of these other boats have, it is quite amazing. That is really what rowing's about, Martin, is those 8s. I mean, I love the single sculls. I love the doubles. I love the 4s. But the 8s, they bring the power, big, strong people in boats who really turn on the speed. And that's what
it's like motor racing, isn't it? I mean, you can be racing a little 4-cylinder or you can be racing the 8s, okay?
Yeah,
we all love the big bangers, don't we? Let's talk Super Rugby to start with, mate. I know you're bitter about your Highlanders. I know you're disappointed. But as an Australian, 3 Aussie teams winning opening round of Super Rugby never happened before.
Pretty remarkable, isn't it, too? Look, I didn't watch the Crusaders Hurricanes in full, but not surprised about that result. The Waratahs Highlanders, actually, I did watch that game, and it was a difficult watch, actually, as a Highlanders supporter. I think the Highlanders could have won that. They turned over the ball. They're statistically very even the entire match. Waratahs passed the ball more, but the Highlanders made a few extra turnovers, and in the end, that was the only difference between it. They said that the Waratahs were sort of ranked where the Highlanders are ranked in terms of where they think they'll finish the season. But the Brumbies over the Drua, I think that's probably the best win that they've had for a while. And the Force over Moana, which did very much surprise me. Look, I looked at the TAB before that match. I thought maybe the Force are worth a couple of bucks. They were well outside being favourites for that game, and somehow got home. By the point, the Force will be cock-a-hoop, mate. They won't know what to do with themselves.
So this translates obviously, clearly into Bledisloe Cup wins now for the Wallabies, does it? Winning 3 opening matches at Super Rugby.
Oh, well, you'd hope so. You'd hope that we can build on the form from the first week of Super Rugby to take the Bledisloe. Yeah, I definitely think that I can see some combinations coming together, even from the 3 different franchises. Look, I don't know, Martin. What I saw over the weekend wasn't overly convincing, actually, from any of those Aussie sides, even though they won. I thought there was some good rugby played.
I thought
there was also some scrappy rugby. There's also a lot of drop ball. There was a couple of games that were played in a bit of moisture and heat. It wasn't flowing like it should, but not a bad opening weekend. And
great opening round.
Australian rugby, the best weekend ever.
It was a great opening round because every game kind of went down to the last few minutes and had something on it. So let's turn our attention to tomorrow night now. Champions Trophy. Black Caps kick that off against Pakistan. But an Australian side, as Rahul has already pointed out to us, that is under strength. Lost a couple of warm-up matches as well. You got the scandal around whether the guy's a chucker or not. So is this going to be one of those ones where we write Australia off again and they come storming through and they win another tournament?
Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about the warm-up matches. I've watched some of the Australian warm-up matches, and some of the players, Martin, you would never have even heard of, and they actually didn't play too bad. So, look, that's not anything to judge it by. But it is a lottery. What we've seen is that the game can be a lottery, and one-day results over the last 6 or 8 months have been very up and down. Teams have beaten each other that we wouldn't have expected to see. And go back to the T20 World Cup where Afghanistan went berserk and won a few games too. Look, anything is possible. I think we go all right in this. We definitely make it out of our group on top. And, the other group, the bangers, India, New Zealand and Pakistan, again, you never know if Pakistan's going to show up. We've seen India be good and be average over the last 6 months in their tours, at home and away. So, look, I think Australia will definitely go through, and I think the Black Caps are a fair chance, but it's not the sort of thing I'd put money on one-day cricket at the moment because it's a lottery. You don't know who's going to turn up. Anything could happen.
We'll talk about the Halberg's last NRL pre-season. And again, look, it is pre-season for a reason because you can't read anything into any of these results. It was great to see the Warriors smack Melbourne and put a whole lot of points on. But if that was in competition, well, that would have been the best result that the team has had in 10 years. But it wasn't in competition, was it? So again, what do you make of with kickoff only a couple of weekends away?
What I make of it is this. Of the games I watched over the weekend, I wouldn't put too much credence in any of them. But what I did see, particularly from a Bulldogs point of view, is a second-grade team came in and played exactly the same defensive strategy that our A team played last year, and we looked like we had some decent half combinations that'll go all right, and a couple of second-rate forwards that'll be able to take us through the season. So I was happy with the way the team kind of held the same structure that Ciraldo put into the team last year. But apart from that, I mean, you're lucky to even know who some of these players are. There's some exciting young players out there. That first half for the Warriors, well, I mean, any team that can put on 36 points like that obviously has some sort of combination.
Yeah.
You know, second half not so good, but they didn't allow that second-rate Melbourne team to score too many points either. So, look, let's just get on with the season. There's one more week of this. Warriors have got a week off, haven't they, as they get ready to go to Las Vegas.
Right.
I think that's really what we're looking forward to. The pre-season's good. It gave me something to watch over the weekend, but and I won some money, actually, on a couple of those games, I'm happy to say. But no, it means nothing, really. It means nothing. You've seen young players, and maybe you can get excited about one, but not a team. You can't get excited about any teams.
Okay, I've been saying it all podcast. I won't be watching the Halbergs tonight, and that is simply because of the way that this television spectacle is presented on Sky. It takes way too long. It's an absolute punish to watch. It's meant to be about the athletes. It ends up being 3 or 4 hours of television. Just every time I watch it, all I do is sit in front of the TV going, get on with it. Get on with it. I just wish that what they would do is they just let them all have their awards, do their speeches. The whole thing's wrapped up in an hour. Kick every single camera and media person and every other hanger-on and clinger out of the place, lock the doors, and just let them go berserk and have as much fun as they possibly could with themselves. Because all of those athletes, the chance for them to actually get together with other athletes doesn't happen that often. That's what this night should be about. Instead, it's a made-for-television event, and it's just, oh my God, mate, it's just draining and straining trying to sit through the thing.
You remember a few years ago, they decided to do the radio awards online. They didn't think that it was worth putting on a big event. I was happy about it. There's nothing worse than sitting around in one of these functions where you just want to talk and have fun with the people around you at your table, and you've got to be quiet while all the official garbage goes on and people drag on their speech, and then some sponsor idiot gets up and they start talking about how important that sport is to their brand and all the rest of it. I'm with you, Martin. Read the names out, give us a winner, hear from them for a couple of minutes, and let's go. An hour would wrap this thing up. You could do it twice in an hour, I reckon. It's the garbage. The other thing that's very difficult about the Halbergs, and a lot of people won't know this, is that when they bring the individuals together to be judges, and we know a couple that have been on it, including Brendan Telfer, sometimes their ideas about certain sports or sporting people against what might be their preference leads them to vote in a certain way. Absolutely. So I think it's, I think we can discuss and come to a conclusion. But some of these categories, I'm just not sure how you'd make a decision. You asked me, is it Lydia Ko or is it
Lisa Carrington?
Dame Lisa Carrington. I said, I think just before the end of last year, the highlight of the sporting year for me was Lisa Carrington doing it again. And so I'm going with her. Not that I think that means Lydia Ko is any less worthy. I just think that at the moment, Lisa Carrington is a one-in-a-lifetime athlete out of this country, and Lydia Ko may be, but at the moment, Lisa's consistency has been too much for me. And I know it's based upon the performance of last year, but I don't think you can remove the history enough to say that it won't be her. So I'm going for her.
That's our podcasting show for today. Again, if you're liking what you're listening and what you're seeing, then a small favour, if you will. Can you please hit like, share, subscribe, follow, tell a friend about it. We are a fledgling podcast and show, the DSPN, and we need you. And if you are participating, well, just click that subscribe button. That would help enormously. Thank you so much if you already have. Again, tell a friend if you like. We're doing this every single day, putting out a show every afternoon. The DSPN.
This is the DSPN.